Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to take and make a card like this with this very detailed filigree background. As you can see, after I pulled it off of the mat, it's all sort of wonky and lumpy. And that happens because when you're pulling it off the mat, it breaks down the fibers of the paper. So here's my solution. First, I'm going to cut a piece of background paper or a piece of cardstock that hasn't been pulled off the mat into the same size as the card front. Okay? And then I'm going to take matte medium. Now I prefer golden. Yes, it's expensive, but it's worth it. And that jug has lasted me forever. And I just use my coupon. And so I think the jug with the coupon is like $15. But it's worth it. Matte medium, if it's really good quality like Ranger or Golden, will dry absolutely clear, and it will leave, you won't see it at all. It won't feel different, it will just be invisible. You won't get the same effect with any other kind of glue. And yes, you could probably use dry adhesive or lots and lots of dry adhesive for this. You could use regular glue, but it's going to show. You could use Mod Podge, but it's going to show. I like the matte medium, and it is worth the money. And by the way, Golden's matte medium will adhere sequins or do any of the same things that Ranger's matte medium does, but you get more bang for your buck. That thing is more expensive than a little bottle, but Ranger's matte medium comes in a pretty small bottle. So I would go to Michael's, use my coupon, and get that big old tub of matte medium, or they have smaller ones if that seems like a lot to you. And then you can put it in your fine liner and do all the same things you do with Ranger's matte medium. So as you can see, once it's dry, it's totally invisible, and the card front is beautiful, flat, firm, lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and start decorating my card front here for you. The first thing I need to do is line the back part of the card with some paper, because this was cheap cardstock from Michael's, this pink, and so when I pulled it off the mat, it got all curly. So I'm just taking some pattern paper and applying an inside square, and see, now it feels like a proper card. It's not curling, and it's nice and flat and beautiful. So I'm going to put some ribbon on the front of my card here, just a little bit, and I'm going to use hot glue. You could certainly use like a tape runner for this process. Hot glue just works better in the high humidity environment that I live in now. So you pinch it, and you apply the glue, and you place it down. And then you take a little glue right underneath the pinch, the fold, and you glue the fold down. And that's the process to make these pleats. I think you need at least 3 to be pretty, but you could certainly do a ton of pleats. So again, a little glue. You could certainly use your tape runner for this. I wouldn't use wet glue unless you used like Fabri-Tac. Fabri-Tac works great. It just takes longer to dry than hot glue. Okay, a little bit. And then you lay it down. And then a little bit. And you glue down your pleat. And it gives you these beautiful pleats. Alright, so then I'm going to swan tail this glue, and I'm showing you the fray check. You get fray check at the fabric store, and if you deal with ribbon, you need fray check. It is wonderful. Again, not the cheapest thing. I think that little bottle costs like $6, but it is well worth the money. So you're going to see when I apply this fray check that ribbon looks all dark. But it dries. When it dries, the fray check is absolutely clear and you can't see it. and it keeps your ribbon from fraying at all. It's wonderful. Fray Chick is great stuff, so it's definitely worth it. I did the other side, I just did the other side off camera because it would be tedious to watch me pinch and glue for another, I don't know how many times. Alright, so this little die cut out of that authentic Valentine's paper from like 2 or 3 years ago is a Spellbinders die that I got a few years back. And then I'm going to take my Versamark and I'm going to use this stamp on, this is a Recollection stamp, came from a brand new set from Michael's, bought it 2 days ago. And I'm using white embossing powder on black paper. Just like that. Remember to heat your heat gun up before you use it, and your embossing will work very quickly. So if you watch, it embosses very, very quickly. And there's minimal warping of the paper, and that's because my heat gun was nice and hot. I'm going to do a technique where you take a Sharpie marker and you color on top of some of the white embossing. And it is so neat. Now, this light pink is really hard to see on the camera. My new lights are very bright. I think maybe I need to lift them up a little because they're kind of washing out the color a little bit, but you can kind of see that soft pink. And then I come in with a slightly darker pink for the heart and around the inside. But this is a really fun thing to do and easy, super, super easy. Any alcohol marker will work, although I have heard people say they don't like to use their Copics because it can jam the top, but Sharpies are cheap, so I just have a punch. You could certainly cut that out with a scissor. And I'm going to apply my greeting to the center there. With just a little bit of hot glue. Remember, the hot glue does remelt the embossing powder, so be really careful before you just stick your finger right in the middle of that, because you can smudge your embossing powder. This is a Hero Arts set. I'm going to use it to decorate the inside with Versafine ink, my favorite black ink for stamping. And this paper, much like a lot of authentic papers, this paper is textured, which makes it a little difficult to stamp on, but I'm not going to let it worry me. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just the inside of my card. Just a little extra decoration. And then I'm going to stamp Happy Valentine's Day inside. And that will complete my project. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.